It's about pausing to understand that we weren't born hating ourselves and that it's okay that we kind of all fell into this trap, but there's also a door out.
Pause. Take a break. Reflect on life. Your moment of greatness starts now.
In this episode, we will learn how to feel better in our body. Helping us with this is the CEO and the co-founder of WeShape. She has a background in psychology and has skills in infrastructure and operations. Welcome to the show, Katie. How are you doing?
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I'm doing great. Excited to be here.
Thank you so much. I'm looking forward to having a wonderful conversation with you. So thank you so much for making out the time to, come on the show to have a soulful conversation about our bodies, about health, about how we could even feel much better in our bodies. But before we, go into all the questions I have prepared, because I'm very curious to know how I could feel much better in my body and, understand more about weight loss and what the industry is teaching us and all of that. Before going to all of that, I would like to learn a little bit about WeShape, the inspiration behind WeShape, and what you're out there to do.
Yeah, well, the story starts long before WeShape. My co-founder and I actually had a different fitness company. We were actually a body transformation company, and we had
Mm.
thousands of people buy our products. We were selling diet and exercise advice, and the company was actually doing really well. We had made the Inc. 500 3 years in a row. We were growing our
Oh.
community, we were growing our team, and lots of people had a lot of quote unquote success with weight loss and body transformation. But we started noticing a pattern with those who were getting what they wanted, which was they weren't actually getting what they wanted. They were wanting weight loss, they were wanting body transformation. But what I started to have curiosity about is if they were actually wanting something more, because many people would get, achieve their goals and still feel bad, or like, oh, now I need to lose even more weight, or it doesn't feel as good as I thought. It was always like the short lived experience. And so I started digging a little deeper and going, I wonder if people are actually after something much deeper than their physical aesthetic. I wonder if people are actually after like body liberation and internal peace and value and worth and love. Like, are we really after those things? And we're using weight loss as a vehicle to try to get that, which is ultimately a dead end. And so I kind of got curious with that. At the same time, my co founder was really curious about how to offer people a much better experience and product that was more customized for their body and really focused on movement rather than like quote unquote getting a good workout. Like, how do we get people to move better so they can be in less pain so that the sustainability of their workouts can go for the long haul? So we both were kind of exploring these things at the same time and really came to the conclusion that what we were selling in that other company was not actually serving our customers. And we decided to
Mm.
shut that company down and start WeShape and offer a product that is extremely customizable. It's a technology driven product that allows people to input all of their needs physically, and they can get the most customized movement plan or workout plan for them. So we're really focusing on movement. And then we're also really focusing on mentality. So, what are the messages that we hear from the fitness industry and the diet industry? And how are those actually harming us? And how do we go towards those things we actually want, which is
Yeah.
self value, love, body liberation? Like, how do we go towards those things? So, yeah, it was
Mm.
sort of like a hard lesson to learn through that other company. And we had to sort of detach our identity from the things that we used to believe. And we are going and paving a new path in the health and fitness space.
Yeah, I find that really amazing, like what you do. Like I was on your website some minutes ago, and also I preparing for this conversation, and I found out that you are able to, put in some figures, some data basically into your website, and then one gets like some workouts prepared, workouts that align to your purpose, your goals, to what you want, to your body type. Also, I find that really really good. And you're talking about you know weight loss. The journey of weight loss is always connected to something: the search for love, the search for validation, the search for acceptance out there. I mean, I love that. I love the fact that you mentioned that. I don't know if you can maybe shine some more light on that.
I mean, it's not to anyone's own fault. We live in a culture that has raised us to believe that that's where our primary value comes from. So it's also an industry that makes billions of dollars. So it's it's a fruitful industry. I've been there. I've been
Mm,
in the shoes selling weight loss, right? So it's a fruitful industry, and I think that it just plays on the cultural beliefs. But I think what happens is when you're raised in a community or society that tells you this is where your value comes from, it's not even like conscious. It's just part of how we live our life. Part of what we
mhm,
see is part of what we hear. It's part of how we interact with people.
mm,
We normalize that behavior. And so it's not until we stop and say, wait a minute, all I talk with my friends about is the new diet we're on. All I'm looking at or following people on social media is like all about aesthetic. Like, it's not until we say, okay, this is how I was raised to be a part of this greater society. But does this construct, does this belief actually serve me? And I try to remind people like a lot of those beliefs that we are a part of in that construct in our culture, those were not rules that we were born with. Most of those rules are rooted in changing something about yourself, which is through
mm,
self-judgment or self-criticism. It's like, change this about your body. Like those are most of the messages in the fitness space, right? Like how to get a
mhm,
six pack, how to do this, how it's all about changing your body. But
mm,
um I try to remind people that we're not born hating our bodies. Like the narrative
mm.
could have been we have many different body types. Health can be at many different sides. Like that could have been the narrative that we would have subscribed to. It wasn't. And so
Mm,
it's really just about pausing to say, I understand the collective whole have decided that this is a value, but does this value actually serve the deeper part of me? And what I have
mm,
discovered in our community is most people say, no, that value of how my body looks doesn't serve me. And I'm putting my energy towards this path that's being reinforced by the culture and by the people I hang out with. But
mm,
the reality is, when I sit with it, it doesn't actually serve my physical or emotional, psychological well being. So it's
mm.
about pausing to understand that we weren't born hating ourselves and that it's okay that we kind of all fell into this trap, but there's also a door out.
Yes, I love what you said. Pausing to know that we were not born to hate our bodies, hate ourselves, and we are that way. I think once we're able to do that, once we're able to accept that and accept the way we look like, we'll be able to start loving ourselves and start to feel good about our bodies also.
Yes. And
Yeah.
it's a journey. It takes time to move into more self-acceptance and I've had to make radical transformations in my life over the last 2 and 3 years around who I follow on social media, beliefs that I subscribe to, philosophies that I used to adhere to. It's really just about pausing to say, huh, I did have that belief and I did have an identity attached to that belief. And but
Mm,
does it really serve me? And the answer will be different for everyone. I think a lot of times when I am communicating with people, they're like, well, what's the tip and trick to like get to this liberation or acceptance? I'm like, well, first of all, that's a lifelong journey. But second of all, it's not a tip and trick. It's about pausing
mm.
to get to know yourself better and understanding what serves you and what doesn't serve you. And then having the courage to step outside of the traditional norm if you decide that story doesn't work for you anymore.
Hey there, podcast enthusiasts. Are you ready to add a little sparkle to your day? If you're loving the insightful conversations and captivating stories on Mirror Talk Podcast, here's a friendly nudge to hit that subscribe button. By subscribing, you'll never miss out on the empowering messages and thought provoking discussions we bring to your ears. But wait, there's more. We're all about spreading positivity and inspiration, and you can be a part of it too. How? By sharing the love with your friends and family. Share this episode with your loved ones and let's create a ripple effect of empowerment and growth together. And hey, if you've been enjoying what you hear, why not take a moment to leave us a glowing 5-star review? Your feedback fuels our passion to keep delivering content that resonates with you. So hit that subscribe button, share the love, and leave us a review. Let's keep the conversation going and spread the Mirror Talk magic far and wide. Thanks for tuning in, and remember, your support means the world to us.
Yes, that's true. Stepping out of that bubble, of that trap. Yeah, that's the best way. And also, visiting websites like yours is very helpful too. I was going through your Instagram page some time ago, and I was like seeing also like tips on different kinds of movements that you could do in order to maybe get rid of some pains, get rid of some stress on the body, and also to even just feel better about yourself, about the way you are at the moment. So I don't know if there's like some simple, easy to do workouts or techniques that you can share with us right now that the listeners can maybe try out right now while listening to this episode.
Yeah, so my co-founder is our movement specialist. He's the one who is like obsessed with getting people to just feel better in their body. And so
Mm,
I focus a lot more on the mentality side, but I would love to
mm.
offer a perspective shift in how we're thinking about exercise if we're available for that.
Yes, we are.
Okay, so a lot of times we are exercising to a lot of people exercise for different reasons, but a lot of times it's around like I want to have an aesthetic of my body, or I want to be in competition and do this crazy workout, or and what
Mm,
we're really saying is that, like, what does long-term sustainable exercise look like, right? So I have a really good friend who owns a physical therapy multiple physical therapy clinics actually, and he says, like, he has, he some of these exercise programs are the thing that actually keeps him in business, because they're a lot of them are about disconnecting from your mind and just pushing through. Like, how many push-ups
mm,
can you do? How many squats can you do? How many miles can you run? And I'm not saying that push-ups and squats and running, those aren't phenomenal ways to move your body, but I'm saying the intention behind them needs to be evaluated.
mm.
So we have a philosophy here that when you learn how to move better in your body, which is different, everybody has a different body with different, my shoulder's a little bit tight, my knee's a little bit this way, my ankle moves that, everyone's different, right? But when you learn how to
Yeah.
move better in your body, you feel better in your
Mm,
body. And that is what we're thinking about in terms of long term. Like, what is a philosophy that you could have in terms of exercise that would take you from this point in your life, if you're 20 years old, all the way till you're 80 years old. And we believe that most of the exercise products in the market aren't really designed with the movement philosophy at the center. They're designed with
mm.
calorie burning, meeting certain, like, quote unquote goals, or badges of honor, right? We're saying the
Yeah.
body doesn't care about that. The body
Mm,
cares about moving well and feeling well. Like, you might participate in a ballistic movement competitive gym class, and that might be great. And if that serves you, I don't want to talk you out of that. But will your 85-year-old self be like, ouch, I have a shoulder injury from that? My knee doesn't move properly. My ankle is
mm,
in, right? So it's like thinking
mm.
about shifting. But the problem is, this isn't like the sexy way to think about fitness, because I'm
Yeah.
actually asking people to do the opposite of what a lot of programs say, which is tune into your mind and body. Like, if your body says that it's done, you need to stop. If your body says that it's okay, you don't push through. So we're really
Hmm.
taking a different approach philosophically around how we are moving, and we're really looking at programming from the perspective of how is the body supposed to move, and how do we create programs for people that are personalized for how their body moves. And you can come to us and still get a phenomenal workout, but we're basing it with different roots, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does make sense. And now that that makes me want to ask, like, right now I want to try this approach, but how can I reorientate myself? How can I learn how to listen and to connect to my body so I can know the kind of workouts that I can do, for a long time or for a long period of time?
Well, I mean, I think that. Well, first of all, you could go to WeShape and take our quiz and see if and we can offer you a workout that and you can see how it feels for your
Mm,
body. But I think we have to just start asking questions like, well, how do I feel? Not
mm,
like do am I so excited that I beat my old record, right? Like how do I actually feel, right? Am I exhausted? Am I in pain? Am I, it's really about checking in. And what's hard about that is that sometimes we get attached to like, well, I want to do this exercise program. My body's telling me this thing, but if I listen to my body, that means I might have to do a different plan and I'm really attached to that. So it's
mm,
really just about like checking in and seeing like where does my body feel tight? And is my body giving me any pain? Is my body asking me for rest? Is some days, and that's the other thing is we live in a very prescriptive culture. So like we think that our diet and exercise has to come from the plan has to come from somebody else. And one of my favorite questions that people ask when they come to our community is, well, how many days a week should I work out? And I'm like, I mean, you're a human being. I don't know. Did you sleep last night? How do you feel today? Right? Like,
mm, mm,
I can't give you a prescriptive thing. I don't know what next week's going to look like for you. So I always tell people the first thing is to say, how do I feel today? And then maybe that day you need a walk. Maybe that day you do a WeShape workout. Maybe that day you go on a hike. I mean, I really can't answer that question because the whole point of our program is for people to drop in and connect with their body and go from that place and then offer themselves so much kindness and grace when their body gives them messages like, yeah, you were going to do a workout today and we're really tired. So you're going to go to a yoga class or you're going to go for a walk. Right. So it's about
yeah.
tapping in and giving yourself permission to listen to that.
Yes. When body says slow down, so we just slow down. He says, yes, you can do the high intensive workout, then yes, do it. Yeah,
Yeah.
I understand. That
Yes.
makes sense.
So
Well, okay, sometimes you look in the mirror and you don't really like what you are saying. Maybe because of what in our society has painted as the perfect body or perfect image or whatnot. Or sometimes we just have a different imagination or vision for our bodies. Is it possible to make peace with how we look like with our bodies just where we are?
I mean, to be honest with you, from what I have seen and from my own experience, if you can't figure out a way to make peace with how you are today, making peace with a future version of yourself is likely going to be pretty hard too. So
Mm,
when we shift our intention to like asking questions like, why am I not at peace with my body right now? What is blocking me from that? And knowing that, I mean, this is the experiment I like to ask people. Like, you may look in the mirror and say, I don't like the way my body looks and I'm not at peace and I need to look this way to be at peace. But you could also
mm,
find people with your similar body who do have peace with their body. And that
mm,
right there is like physical evidence that you don't need the smaller body or the certain body in order to have that peace because there are people with your similar body today that have that peace. So the
yeah.
two are, we think they're dependent on each other. And I think that the biggest thing that I would like to help people understand is that they're absolutely not. If you're actually searching for peace with your body doesn't have to change in order to get that. Your mind's going to have to change. You're going to have to go down a journey of deeper self discovery and unraveling the layers that the culture has, inherently put on us. But your body changing will not necessarily deliver that peace. And that's why I changed my entire company because I saw people changing their bodies and not getting that peace.
Mm. Oh yeah, you have to do that deep work, like search deep down.
I
What is the cause?
know.
What's the reason?
I'm sorry I
Yeah,
don't have the tips and trick. it's
it's good.
it's a journey and it's deep work. And sometimes it's painful and sometimes it means changing things about our life, but if you're actually going for peace and body acceptance and liberation, it's not going to come from changing how you look.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, yeah, that's the hard truth to it.
I'm sorry
Yeah,
to be the bearer of bad news.
yeah, it's all right. It's good. We'll take it. We'll take it that way. One thing I actually appreciate about WeShape is that you provide this community for people also. Like people can join like online on Zoom wherever, and to discuss maybe goals and all of that. So I would just like to know if you could talk about that a little bit and also explain to us why it is important to have a community when it comes to our workouts, to our body goals, and to our health in general.
Yeah, so when we were launching WeShape, I realized right away that we were taking such a different approach, and I knew in my own journey with this path of kind of shifting my intention that people were going to feel alone because a lot of what we're doing is against sort of what we've been told and what is mainstream. And so I thought, oh my goodness, like people need to have community. And Wendy
Mm,
Suzuki is a Dr. Wendy Suzuki is like a neuroscientist, I believe, and she had done a lot of research on like longevity, and she
mm,
was trying to figure out, like, she was basically saying my hypothesis is that exercise is going to be the thing that gets people to live the longest. And
mm,
she exercise was up there, moving your body was up there, but it was not the number one predictor. It was community, it was
mm,
connection with other people. And she even went to further to say it did not have to necessarily be like your best friend that you saw every day. It could be the barista at the coffee shop that you have positive interactions with every day.
mm,
So she really, I read about that, and I just I remember thinking, oh my goodness, community is a pillar of WeShape, because it's the way that we can actually have sort of permission to access these deeper parts of ourselves while we get support. Because accessing these deeper parts of ourselves and breaking down constructs in our culture is tough, and so you
mm,
need support. So yeah, we do have daily calls. Some of our calls are dedicated with one of the physical therapists on our team, and as well as my co-founder, to answer movement related questions if people have exercise or movement related questions. And then we have a number of calls that are just community calls where we discuss various topics about our body. And then we even have guest experts that come in and talk about, body acceptance, or aging, or diet culture. So we have a variety of calls every day that people can join so that they can start to build that community and create that group of people around them that are supporting this journey and supporting this path.
yeah, I love that. That's really good. I mean, also people like you said earlier. We have this very toxic weight loss culture out there. So having a smaller circle, a community that helps you reorientate yourself and helps you to stick to the right way for you is really useful. I believe also. Yeah, yeah. So I mean, we've talked a lot about how to accept yourself, how to find peace with your body. And that also is strongly connected with, happiness and self-love. So I don't know if you can talk on that a little bit and tell us the connection between happiness, self-love, and just, inner peace, just having peace with who you are and how you are.
Yeah, I mean, it's so funny when I think about when I first had my children, and someone would ask me, "What is the goal? Like, what would you wish for your children?" And I used to say, "I just wish that they would be happy." And I do
Mm,
think that happiness is an incredible part of being a human being, but it's only one of the
mhm.
emotions that we experience, right? And
Yeah.
so I've sort of shifted my perspective over the years as they've gotten older around what my goal for them is. And my goal for them is more like acceptance of
Mm,
circumstances, acceptance of body, acceptance of self, acceptance that sometimes life is really happy and we can do things to contribute to that happiness. And sometimes we do everything we can, we check every box on the list, and happiness
mm,
isn't what comes. And what do we
mm.
do in that struggle? What do we do in that time of discomfort? And how do we grow from it? So I think I've even shifted my perspective on, like, yeah, sometimes I do all of the things to try to be happy. And sometimes the universe just wants me to be in a little bit of discomfort, and that's a period of growth, and maybe it will lead to different type of happiness. But to just sitting more into the acceptance of the varying experiences and emotions that come with just being a human being, I think has been a big shift for me personally.
Thank you so much for that. I really appreciate that. What's the best way to connect and work with you?
People want to check us out, they can go to WeShape.com/mirror talk. and they can get a 2-week free trial at WeShape if they want to come check out our community and check out our exercise program.
Oh, that's awesome. Thank you so much for that.
Yes.
So WeShape.com/Mirror Talk. The link will be in the show notes of this episode, and also the link to all your social media platforms will be in the show notes also, and they're also available on your website in case they're not found in the show notes of this episode. I encourage everyone to follow you on Instagram, TikTok, wherever platform, YouTube, and then watch some videos and get enlightened on how to go ahead with accepting your body, finding peace with who you are, and just loving yourself for who you are. Thank you so much, Katie. I really appreciate this conversation with you. It was so lovely learning from you and being enlightened about our body and how to accept it and how to love it and weight loss itself.
Thank you, Toby. Appreciate the time.
Wow, you made it to the very end of this episode. Thank you so much for listening. I'm grateful for your time, your love, and your contributions. Subscribe, like, review, and share this podcast. God bless you. Bye. Bye.